All right, before we jump into part 30, so this is the shelf we're working on. This shelf on the left. So I put everything back on the top shelf, so that's why the second one is half empty, because I have that on the floor here, and I'm going to start pulling some of that out so it's just a little bit easier. But that's what we're working on now, is the shelf on the left here, which again, this is all stuff that has been watched. The shelf on the right is all stuff that hasn't been watched, which is why that's horizontal. Horizontal. Jesus, I can't talk. Yeah, horizontal. That's why everything is horizontal on that shelf, because I haven't watched it. And then most of the stuff is vertical, just the stuff on the top, obviously. So yeah, I forgot to do that the last segment. But when we get rocking and rolling into part 30 here in a minute, we'll do that. So I just wanted to give you guys a little context, because context is key, as they say. Horizontal, that's my new word. Fuck it, I'm putting it on a t-shirt. Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to part 30. We made it this far, so I don't know if we're going to... Well, we might make it... At this point, we actually might make it to 50. We'll see. But as I showed you a moment ago, we are working on the second shelf of the left... the second shelf of the shelf. Second shelf of the... Anyway, you know what I mean. Oh boy, I need sugar. I haven't had any sugar today. But this is part 30 of my 2025 DVD and Blu-ray collection overview. So let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling here. So this might be the greatest movie ever made. Just saying. But we have Sector 4 Extraction. The screenwriter, for those of you that do not know, the screenwriter of this movie is a friend of mine, and he used to come on the streams and videos and everything, and he signed this for me on the cover, and then he actually also signed the disc, which is pretty cool. So yeah, he sent this to me a number of years ago, a few years ago now, but cool stuff. And yeah, it's an awful movie. He knows it's an awful movie. I just love hearing the behind the scenes stuff and how difficult it was to work with Olivier Gruner and everything, so that makes it funnier to me. Next, this one actually belonged to my grandfather. My grandfather was actually a big Red Skeleton fan, so I kept this from my grandparents. And this is one of those old, actually Timeless Media Group. I think this was Shout Factory before it was Shout Factory, to be honest. But there's a lot of these older DVDs out there with these, tin cases and everything. But we have America's Clown Prince. It's just called Funny Man, but it's two different DVDs here. So there you go. But yeah, these belong to my grandparents. And actually, Charles Bronson is in one of these. So there you go. And then we've got some Nirvana DVDs here. There's a couple that I don't have, but these are the ones for now. I had this one before, and then I got rid of it for whatever reason, and I got it back. And for whatever reason, they did do a print of these DVDs where they put them in Blu-ray cases. I don't know why they did that, but this is another episode of Classic Albums. This is for Nirvana's Nevermind. And once again, I really like these. I do think they're too short because they were made for TV, so I think they're only about an hour, 45 minutes, and then they would edit in the commercials. But I really enjoyed this. I always thought this was pretty cool. I love Butch Vig, who produced the album. Just seeing him sit at the console and playing the raw recordings and everything, I just always thought that was really cool. And then we've got MTV Unplugged in New York, which is great. I also don't know why this has never come out on Blu-ray, to be honest. You would think that this would be one that they would put out on Blu-ray. But you have and actually I've had this one. This is the one I kept when I had these previously, because there was a time when I was really heavy into Nirvana, and then I kind of burned myself out on it. I had to stop. And I still like Nirvana. Do I listen to them as much as I used to? No, but I still quite enjoy their music. But this is the one I kept. So it has the complete MTV Unplugged. It also has the broadcast version, and then there's rehearsal footage and making of and stuff, other stuff in here. But yeah, I've had this one for quite a while. But like I said, I don't know why this one has never come out on Blu-ray. I guess either it's Paramount. MTV doesn't want to do it, Paramount doesn't want to do it, or, Courtney Love is a fucking psycho and she wants money, or, whatever the case may be. I don't know. And then we have Live Tonight Sold Out, which this one and the Classic Albums one I bought more recently because when I reviewed those before the old channel got shut down, I needed to get copies of them. But this is just a compilation of different live footage and everything, which is pretty cool. Some of it's pro shot, some of it's bootleg footage, some is a combination of both, so it's actually quite interesting. But there you go. And then, as I said, at the end of the last video, we would get into one of these movies, but we've got some Daniel Bernhardt movies, which I've always liked Daniel Bernhardt. I know he's looked at as kind of a poor man's Van Damme. He's looked at as a Van Damme knockoff, but I never looked at him that way. I never saw him that way. Yes, in these two movies, yeah, they wanted him to be like just like Van Damme, but some of the other stuff that he was in, I enjoyed. But he acted for a little while. He was a B-movie action star. I don't think he made it as big as some of the other people did, like Gary Daniels and such. But, he made a couple of movies I did enjoy, a couple of the ones here. He was on the Mortal Kombat TV series. He took a break for a little bit. He was in The Matrix Reloaded, and I think Revolutions. He was one of the other agents. And then he took a break for a while, and then he came back, and I think primarily now he does stunts. Because he was in a couple of the John Wick. I know he was in the first John Wick. I want to say he was also in John Wick 3. I could be wrong. I know he was definitely in the first one. Because he's the guy that John Wick fights, I think, in the nightclub. He was in some couple Jason Statham movies. He was in Ballerina. Anybody remember Ballerina? The John Wick spinoff that 4 people watched? Remember that one? Yeah, that movie sucked. So I think he's in Nobody, the first Nobody. He fights, oh my God, what's his name? Bob Odenkirk. I almost said Bobcat Goldthwait, my bad. Which is funny because they're friends. When he's on the bus, he's one of the guys that Bob Odenkirk fights on the bus. But yeah, I think now he's just more of a stunt guy, but he's still around, which is cool. Excuse me, but I like his stuff. I always liked his stuff. I always thought he was a good little action star. Never met the guy. But we do have I'm going to say Blood Fist. That's Don the Dragon, not Van Damme. Bloodsport 2, which I don't mind. This one and 3. Bloodsport 4 was terrible, but yeah, they try to make him look like Van Damme. They try to make him act like Van Damme. If they had let him do his own thing, I think it would have been better. But I do like it, and I think these were shot back to back, if I'm not mistaken. And then we got Blood Fist 3, which is a Canadian release, and it says Special Edition. There's nothing special about this, so those are all right. I don't mind those movies. I like because Bloodsport 2 came out right after Mortal Kombat did the movie, and they have a theme song that tries to make it sound like Mortal Kombat. It's like Bloodsport. I think you can find it here on YouTube. I always thought that was hilarious. And then we have Perfect Target, which I mentioned this at the end of the last video because it's one of these slim DVD cases from Platinum, who would later become Echo Bridge. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was an HBO premiere back in the day. I do remember watching it on there. And Sheldon Lettich actually directed this, speaking of Van Damme. Robert Englund is one of the bad guys. I think Brian Thompson is one of the other villains, but I didn't mind this movie. I've seen it a couple times here and there. Alright, and now we're going to just roll right in. We've got The Butcher, with Eric Roberts, which I really enjoyed this film. I remember hearing about it when it first came out on DVD and renting it. It's directed by Jesse V. Johnson, who did some other action movies I do like, but I really enjoyed this film. There is a Blu-ray that came out in Germany for this, but it's very, very difficult to get a hold of. So right now I'm just holding out with the DVD copy. But if you have not seen this movie, I'm sure it's on Tubi or one of the free streaming services out there if you want to check it out. Alright, it's a really solid movie. Really good stuff here. Definitely one of my favorite Eric Roberts movies. I don't think I brought this up when I met him, so if I ever meet him again, I definitely want to bring this one up because really solid action film. Good stuff there. You can check that one out if you feel like you need to, which I think you should. So there's that. And then, speaking of Eric Roberts, he's in one of these movies, but we have a couple Philip Ree films here. So first up, I still have Best of the Best 2 on DVD because this has extra features which did not make it to the overseas Blu-ray that I have. There is actually a commentary track with the director Robert Radler and Philip Ree, and then there's also a making of which has, in addition to the people I just mentioned, I think Wayne Newton's on there too. And Wayne Newton said this is the movie that he was in that everybody brings up, and they always ask him to say, what are the rules? There are no rules. So there you go. And then it has the making of from back in the day and such. But Best of the Best 2 was always my favorite, and I love the artwork, how it's the octagon, because this actually was basically UFC before UFC. So if you watch the movie, it's got an octagon ring, and it's different fighters, different styles of fighting and such. So maybe the UFC ripped off Best of the Best 2 and they just don't want to admit it. I don't know. But this is, a re-release with this artwork, and they did that. But this is a re-release. But this is another one that took forever to come out on DVD. I remember 1, 3, and 4 were out, but 2 was the holdout for some reason, and it wasn't until maybe like 2004 or 2005 or something, somewhere around there, that Best of the Best 2 finally came out on DVD. Again, I don't know what the issue was there for so long, but oh well. But love Best of the Best 2. And then we have Underdog Kids, which is this. Philip Ree was trying to make it seem like this was going to be his big comeback and everything. It didn't really do anything. It didn't really go anywhere. It went straight to DVD, but it's okay. I don't mind it for what it is. It's got some toilet humor in there, which, of course, it's a kid's movie, but I'm not a fan of that. But I like Philip Ree, and like Dan Inosanto has a cameo. I think Richard Norton has a cameo. So, yeah, it's got some good stuff in it. But he, I think, was really pushing the movie when it came out, and it was going to be this next big thing, and, he was going to make a comeback to the film and film world and all that, and it didn't happen. So, unfortunately. Next up, I do have this on Blu-ray, but I also have these DVDs because the features not all the features, I will say that, made it to the Blu-ray, and that is Reservoir Dogs. So first up, we have the 10th anniversary edition. Now, when this came out, it was really cool because they actually did, and it's not Anchor Bay, but Artisan put this out, and they actually released each color, so the 4 colors you see here and the rest of them. They released each color character as a DVD, and then I think this one was the most common one to find. And I think some of the colors got pretty hard to come by for a little bit. But yeah, there's extra features on here which did not make it to the American Blu-ray. There is a German Blu-ray out there of Reservoir Dogs, which does have all the extra features, and I do want to get that relatively soon here. And then we have the 15th anniversary edition, which comes in this gas can, which is pretty cool. And I think this one has new extra features, and I don't think it had features from this, even though it was the same company. So, of course, that's the way that it goes with what I've been talking about for 30 hours here. But yeah, it comes out like this, and it's in the matchbook, which is pretty cool. So you get the discs in there. Really nice presentation, really cool set. And I do like that it says on the back here, home of the Big Kahuna Burger, which of course that was later on in not only Pulp Fiction, but also From Dusk Till Dawn. But yeah, I definitely need to upgrade to the German Blu-ray, because I just like having all the shit in the same spot. But again, it's the same fucking studio that released it, and not all the features. And I am very surprised, I guess because it's Lionsgate or whatever. Now, I guess Paramount's got a piece of it. But I am surprised that Criterion never put out at least Reservoir Dogs. Pulp Fiction, I know they put it out on Laserdisc, but I am surprised that Criterion didn't get either of those for 4K at this point. But we'll see. Maybe that'll change. I don't know. All right, next up we have Michael Jordan to the Max, which was his IMAX film. I actually saw this in the IMAX back in the day. This came out in 2000. So yeah, 25 years ago, I actually went to the IMAX and saw this because it's actually still there. At the Baltimore Science Center, there's an IMAX theater. And it's funny because my brother fell asleep during this. I don't know how the fuck you fall asleep during IMAX because it's loud as shit, but he did. And there is a Blu-ray of this. I think it might be out of print. I don't know what it goes for price-wise. That I would have to look into. But I actually, again, really enjoyed this back in the day, and then picking this DVD up a few years ago. It was like, cool. Haven't seen that since it came out. And there's a couple extras on here. There's a couple commentary tracks, actually. It's got trailers, I think, because Fox put this out. I think it's for this, and then the Michael Jordan VHS that they released back in the day. I think that might have come out on a DVD set. I'm not sure, but good stuff there. And, I always say all the time, like, I don't even like basketball. I mean, somewhat. When I was a kid, I liked it because Michael Jordan was still playing, and Allen Iverson, and Shaq, and Kobe, and people actually, were talented and good, unlike LeBron. So, there you go. But now, I could give fuck all about basketball. When I was a kid, I never liked playing it, because I was never good at it, because I was never good at sports, but, even though I liked baseball and played baseball. But, I liked, in the 90s, when I was a kid, into the early 2000s, and then when everybody started retiring, that I'm like, I don't give a shit anymore. So there you go. Oh well. Next up, couple few. Let me do it this way. Couple few Paul Walker movies still on DVD here. And once again, as an actor, I enjoy his work. As a person, I don't know what is true. I don't know what is not true. Okay, I was not there. But as a performer. As an actor, I did like his work. I actually quite like this movie, The Skulls, which is like a secret society type of film. And this was right before The Fast and the Furious came out. But this does have a Blu-ray. Once again, I just don't have it. But we got the old, again, love these old Universal Studios Collector's Edition. I remember, as a kid, when I first started getting into DVD, and I was like, I want to get all of them, and and I was looking for these because I was like, whoa, it's a collector's edition, Excuse me, but cool stuff here. And again, I like this movie. Picked up the Blu-ray at some point. They did a couple direct-to-video sequels that I never saw, but this one I enjoyed. I think it did fairly well when it came out. I don't think, again, it exactly exploded at the box office or anything, but I think it actually did, well enough. And then we already covered this movie in the Blu-ray section, but once again, I do still have Joyride on DVD because again, for whatever reason, I don't know why they apparently can't do it for Blu-ray, which is bullshit because there's plenty of Blu-rays that have it, but there is a branching option on this DVD and on the old channel. When I reviewed Joyride, I put the Blu-ray in and I proved to everyone that it wasn't on there because I think on the Blu-ray, on the box of the Blu-ray, it says that it's on there, but it's actually not on there. but it is on this DVD. It has a branching option where you can choose which ending of the movie you want, which again is only on the DVD. For whatever reason, because they're fucking lazy, they did not put that option on the Blu-ray. It has the alternate endings. You can watch those separately, but you can't pick which one you want to watch. And then you put the rusty nail icon comes up and you hit it and it'll show you, behind the scenes footage and stuff. But I don't know why they just, for some Blu-rays they do it, for other Blu-rays they don't. Like, that's why I still have Highlander 2 on DVD, because the DVD has that as well, which is not on the Blu-ray, because they're lazy. And then I have 8 Below on DVD, because again, same fucking company, fucking Disney did not put the extra features from the DVD to the Blu-ray, which is, there's 2 commentary tracks which never made it to there. I think the Blu-ray might have the deleted scenes on there, but that's it. So, good movie, but it's a sad movie, because it's dogs, and it's huskies, which is my second favorite type of dog next to German Shepherds. So, there you go. And it's about dogs that didn't make it, that got abandoned. It's a sad story. Anyway, another sad movie, but it's a good movie. This was actually one of the last movies he did, Hours, which I quite enjoy. This does have a Blu-ray, just not in America. I think Canada might have gotten one, and I know Germany did, so I'll have to grab one of those at some point. I think the German Blu-ray might have some extra features. I have to look into that. But yeah, again, this was one of the last films that he did. A pretty good movie, and you check it out. I don't want to give it too much away there, but good flick. Next up, I actually absolutely loved this show as a kid. I really enjoyed this cartoon. We have The Busy World of Richard Scarry. This is the complete series. Actually, Showtime used to run this back in the day, and I would watch it all the time on there. I think Nickelodeon might have picked it up later on, or they ran it concurrently or what have you. But yeah, I always really enjoyed this show. And I put a little piece of paper in there so I would know what episodes or which seasons on one disc and all that kind of stuff. So there you go. Because a lot of times they don't want to do that. But I really enjoyed this one. I don't think I ever read the books, but always loved this cartoon. Always thought that one was pretty cool. Next up, we got Bushwhacked, one of my all-time childhood favorites, to be honest. I would love if this were to get a Blu-ray, but again, it's Disney, so it's not going to happen, even though it's probably on their streaming service. But there you go. But love Bushwhacked, which if you look at it in a certain way, it could be Marv from Home Alone redeeming himself. So maybe that's one way you could look at it. Sorry, I did not mean to make sucking sounds with the water, but it is what it is, I suppose. My bad. Another Disney movie, which is probably never going to come out on Blu-ray. This was Disney would, back in the day, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, they would have a program called The Wonderful World of Disney. These movies aired on ABC, and then, of course, Disney Channel would later pick them up and run them. But again, these all originally aired on ABC. I think this might be the only one that I have, but they did put some of them out on DVD. Same thing. They put some, we'll get to them when I cover VHS, but the Garbage Picking, Field Goal Kicking, Philadelphia Phenomenon, which is the name of the movie with Tony Danza, that only came out on VHS. That was a part of the line. I think Noah, also with Tony Danza, Danny Tonza, that's his cousin, also with Tony Danza, that I believe also only came out on VHS as well. So it's the same shit that they did with the Disney Channel original movies. Some only came out on VHS, some came out on DVD, some never came out on VHS, you understand. But this one is Toothless with Kirstie Alley. I miss Kirstie Alley. I always really enjoyed her work, and I always thought, back in the day at least, before she got fat, she was fucking hot. That was just me. Just my opinion. She was a babe. But Yeah, this one's pretty fun where she's a dentist and then she dies and then she becomes the tooth fairy. If you haven't seen this one, check this one out. This one's pretty funny. But this is one that also my mom loves. So, we watch it with her and stuff back in the day. But yep, probably never coming out on Blu-ray. So it is what it is, I guess. Then we got a couple Paul Hogan movies here. Crocodile Dundee himself. But we have Almost an Angel, which I think this was the first movie he did in America beside Crocodile Dundee, which was a remake of, I think, the movie of the same name, or there was a movie that was the name was close to it or what have you. But this is okay. I don't mind this film. Excuse me. There is a Blu-ray for this once more. I just don't have it yet. And it does have Linda Kozlowski. I think at the time they were married. When they did the first Crocodile Dundee, I don't think they were married. I think they may have been married to other people. And then they both got divorced. I think Crocodile Dundee 2, they had just gotten married. So I think here they were together. And also Elias Coates is in this. So there you go. Cannot go wrong with him. Casey Jones himself. Then we have Lightning Jack, which I actually just watched this not long ago. I had not seen it in quite a while. This was a huge flop when it came out. It did not do well at all. But I actually like this film. I don't think it's too bad. It's currently stuck only on DVD at this point. But also, I think the problem with Paul Hogan with the American market is Crocodile Dundee was a huge movie. Crocodile Dundee 2 did well. The rest of the movies that he didn't really do well. I think people just kind of looked at him as Crocodile Dundee, and then he would wait so long in between movies, so people would kind of forget about him, and then he would come back. Of course, in Australia, he's a legend, but here in America, people really only look at him as Crocodile Dundee, and then the Subaru commercials that he did for a while. I remember those as a kid. Those were pretty fun. But, he just didn't make it here for whatever reason in America, which is kind of sad because I think he's still alive, but, he's kind of on the back end of his career. I always enjoyed his work. I always thought he was talented, and, he always did a good job, and always liked seeing him. That's just me. And then, of course, we have Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, which for a long time was not out on Blu-ray. I believe it is now on Blu-ray, so I'll have to track this down and pick it up. But not as good as the first two, and also, like I just said, I think the problem was they had waited so long in between the movies. But I do like it for what it is. Again, it is a little more kid-friendly. They definitely toned it down quite a bit from the first two movies, but I don't think it's an awful movie. Like, I see people call this among the worst movies ever made, and I'm thinking, really? Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles is one of the worst movies ever? Have you not seen most of the movies that came out this year? So apparently not. But I always really like the scene, because they put it in the trailer, when him and his buddy go to the drive-thru at Wendy's and they think it's the craziest thing. Hi, welcome to Wendy's. Good evening, Wendy. Like, I don't know why. I just always thought that was funny. I guess at 9 years old, when that came out, seeing the trailers and everything, 9-year-old me just thought it was hysterical, and I still do. So there you go. Next up, we've got Free Willy 2, The Adventure Home, which honestly, I kind of like this more than the first one. I know people are going to give me shit. I know people are going to get mad at me. But I had this one on a recorded VHS as a kid, so I actually would watch this one first because I didn't have the first one on VHS. I think my grandmother had it because I got him in the other room. So when I go to her house, I would watch the first one because I only had the second one. And also, one of my cousins, this was the first movie we would watch apparently all the time as kids. That's what he alleges. So there you go. But no, I think it's a good sequel. It was a big flop when it came out. It did not do any. Well, hold on. I think it did okay. Let me backtrack a second. I think it did all right. I don't think it did as well as the first one. And also, I think it came out the same weekend as Batman Forever or close to it, which was the same studio. So it was kind of in a bad spot, I would think, but I do like it. It is directed by Dwight Little, who of course did Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee and Halloween 4 and actually speaking of Sector 4, director-screenwriter, he did a movie, he wrote a film with the kid from Free Willy, the movie that's in my fucking hand, and this is the film where Dwight Little became his stepdad, because Dwight Little directed the movie. He was divorced at the time. I think, what's his name, Jason James Richter, his mom had just gotten divorced. I guess, working, he's the star of the movie, other than The Whale, and he was a kid at the time, so his mom had to be there, so I guess they started talking and felt the connection, and they ended up getting married. I believe, from what I was told, I believe they ended up having a couple more kids together, his Jason James Richter's stepdad is Dwight Little, so that's pretty cool, and he had all these cool stories to tell about his stepdad and everything. So yeah, cool stuff. But after that, I stopped giving a fuck about Free Willy. I remember when the third Free Willy came out. That was also a big flop when it came out. I'm gonna look this up because I'm wrong, but Free Willy 3 was a flop. I think the second one again did okay, but I don't think it did anywhere near what the first movie did, because the first movie was huge when it came out. For those of you that remember, myself included, that movie was fucking everywhere as a kid. But I just want to correct myself here. I don't want to speak out of turn. Okay, so it had a budget of $31 million and it made $68. So yeah, it did all right. It did double, but it did not do anywhere near the what the first one did. So in America, it broke even. It made $30 million in America, and then it did $38 million the rest of the world. So yeah, it did all right, but not what the first one did. And also, did Free Willy need a sequel? You could argue that. Again, I like Free Willy too, but at the end of the first movie, he was free. So just saying. But Free Willy 3 was a huge flop, and then they did a couple direct-to-video ones. I gave up after 2. That's just me. But a sequel that was awesome, that should be on Blu-ray, but it's not, Guyver 2, Dark Hero. Apparently, Steve Wang said, I think it was, oh God, I can't remember the name now. Whoever put out the first one on Blu-ray, not Arrow, because I have that released, the other one. I forget the name of the label, but Steve Wang said that they were working on Guyver 2, so hopefully that's still a go, because I love this movie. If you have not seen this is R-rated Power Rangers. That's what this is. So if you're a Power Rangers fan like me, but you want to see Power Rangers actually kill the monsters, not blow them up, but like rip them apart and everything, this is what you're looking for here. But I love this movie. The first one's okay. It's got some really good creature effects. It's got some good fights, but the cast is pretty weak in that film. But Guyver 2, you got David Hayter, Solid Snake himself, as the Guyver, so you can't go wrong. And there's some awesome effects in it and some good fights, but love Guyver 2. So there's that. Next up, we have Exo Squad Season 1, one of the most underrated cartoons ever. More for adults than it is for kids, to be honest. But Exo Squad is awesome. Unfortunately, they only put out the first season on DVD, but it's very X-Men-like. I think, actually, a lot of the people that worked on X-Men worked on this one as well, and it's very serialized and stuff, but love Exo Squad. I guess Season 1 did not sell that well, so they didn't put out Season 2 on DVD, but you can find it out there if you so choose so, and that's what I did. So I have my own set that I made of Season 2, but love Exo Squad. And then we have the semi-sequel to Swingers. We've got Made, which unfortunately Puff Daddy is in, but I really like this movie as well. I think there's a Canadian Blu-ray out there, but it does not have any of the extra features on there, so Guess I'll be holding on to this DVD, until they put out a Blu-ray with the features. But again, it's a semi-sequel, pseudo-sequel to Swingers. It's the same two lead actors. Jon Favreau wrote the movie as well, directed the film. I know he wrote Swingers, but he didn't direct it. That was Doug Liam. And a couple, I think there might be a couple of the same like background actors and stuff, but I quite like that movie. I think that's pretty funny as well. I like Swingers more, but Made I think was pretty good too. Next up we have Pink Floyd Pulse, which this is on Blu-ray, but one of my all-time favorite live concerts, absolute classic. Loved it. This DVD is killer. The great quality. They restored the footage. I think they remixed it for 5.1 for Dolby Digital and stuff, but really awesome DVD. I had this on VHS actually at one point. I definitely want to pick that up again, but again, one of my all-time favorite live concerts, video, DVD, whatever you want to call it. Great stuff on there. Now, we have a movie here that I enjoyed so much more as a child. As an adult, not so much, but I do appreciate certain things about it. But Warriors of Virtue, again, this was a movie that I loved as a kid. As an adult, I mean, I like the stuff with the kangaroos. It's practical effects. They get to do martial arts, but I don't need everything in the movie to be in fucking slow motion. I understand it's Ronnie Yu, but that's one of the problems I had with Freddy vs. Jason. Angus McFadden was absolutely terrible in this movie, and I actually like him as an actor in other films. The Rat Pack, which we covered in a previous segment. I like him in that film. I like him in some other stuff, but he's just so over the top in this movie, and not in a good way. I do like the fight scenes. I like the kid because he was in that Disney Channel movie Under Wraps. Tony Gardner did the effects, who worked on Hellraiser and Star Wars and all these other movies. Marley Shelton is in it, but this movie has not really aged very well for me. But again, there's quite a bit that I do like about it. It's just, as an adult, I'm just kind of like, can we just get to the kangaroos fighting? Like, I want to see Kung Fu kangaroos. Like, come on now. Then, to make it worse, they did a sequel that did not have the kangaroos in it. So I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Oh, I know why. It's because they didn't have a budget to make the kangaroos. But you decided, okay, so the selling point for me, at least as a child, was we got Kung Fu kangaroos. And then you want to make a sequel. Well, we can't really afford to have the Kung Fu kangaroos. Now, why the fuck did you make the sequel? So, there you go. I don't know. Anyway. Fucking Hollywood. I hate how fake Hollywood is, in the words of Jay from Jay and Silent Bob. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have A Gentleman's Game. Good little drama. It's got Dennis the Menace and Gary Sinise, and also I think Dylan Baker. I always want to call him Dylan Walsh. Dylan Walsh is a different actor. Dylan Baker is in it, who I've always enjoyed his work. Philip Baker Hall, I like him quite a bit. But it's about this kid. It's like a coming-of-age story. He wants to be a golfer. Gary Sinise is a former pro, but he's kind of got a checkered past, and he wants Dennis the Menace wants him to teach him how to golf and stuff. But not a bad little movie, not a bad little drama. Then we have Night Moves with Christopher Lambert. Also, Diane Lane is in this. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that they were together while they were making this movie. I don't think... No, they were married. I think they were married when they made this. Or they were just about to get married. But interesting little drama. I haven't seen this in a while. A little bit of a mystery, little suspense in there. But also Tom Skerritt is also in the movie. Daniel Baldwin. I think Catherine Isabel plays their daughter, I think. So I think this is one of her first movies, if I'm not mistaken. It's been quite a while since I've seen it, but like I've said before, I'm a big Christopher Lambert fan. I'll watch, if he's in it, I'll watch it at least once. If it's not good, I won't watch it again, but there you go. And we have Slackers. This is a pretty fun early 2000s comedy. I don't think this did well when it came out. I think it was a huge flop. But Comedy Central used to run this all the time back in the day, and I used to watch it on there. But you've got Devon Sawa as the lead, Jason Schwartzman, who is the daughter, Jesus Christ. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know what these fucking retards do. Anyway, Jason Schwartzman is the son of Talia Shire. My bad. Jamie King is in it from, I think she was in White Chicks and some other, and the very lovely Laura Prepon from that 70s show. And also, what the hell's his name? Jason Segel is in it. And then Big Pete from Adventures of Pete and Pete. I think he's like the stoner fuck of the group. But yeah, not a bad little comedy, college comedy from the early 2000s. I should have brought this one up when I met Devon Sawa, but I forgot. I'm too busy talking about Little Giants and Sylvester Stallone and stuff. Next up, we got Undercover Brother. Goofy, stupid, goofy fun, but my kind of stupid, goofy fun. So can't go wrong with this. This may have a Blu-ray, I'm not sure, but I love Eddie Griffin. I was always a big fan of his work. I don't know why. He hit it big for a little bit, but it didn't really last that long. I don't know why, but I always thought he was funny. Like I said, always liked his work. And this is the only good movie that Malcolm D. Lee directed, who, yes, is related to Spike Lee, who's a fucking scumbag, but he did those shitty, like, Scary Movie 4 and 5 and all that. But that's the only good movie he directed. Next up, Mr. Rock and Roll Detective. She shall by the seashore. Holy fuck. Let's try that again. The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which I still have on DVD, as well as Blu-ray, because the American Blu-ray does not have the extra features, which is a commentary with the director and making of and all that. There is a overseas Blu-ray that does, which I would like to get at some point, but it is expensive, and the fucking shipping has gotten crazy, even though physical media is not affected by the tariffs, but yet here we are. So there you go. But love Ford Fairlane, and this is actually Fox put this out. Anchor Bay put out the Blu-ray. Fox put out the DVD themselves, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, this may have been out of print for a while. I don't know what price-wise it was, but I got it pretty cheap somewhere, so there you go. Next up, another childhood favorite that I still quite enjoy as an adult, but The Pagemaster. Always had a lot of fun with this movie. Some really good animation in here as far as I'm concerned. There is a Blu-ray. Yes, there is a Blu-ray for this movie. I just, again, do not have it at the present moment. And I have another Macaulay Culkin film here. I should have did this, my bad. But we have Richie Rich, which I always quite enjoyed this one as a kid as well. This is another childhood favorite that I still like as an adult. And I also had this one on a recorded VHS back in the day. So me and my brother would watch it quite a bit. And I want to see, when did this DVD come out? 2005. So I know people were thinking, like, what do you mean? But 2005 was kind of late in the DVD game because Blu-ray came out the next year. Because I want to say, yeah, that this one, for whatever reasons, I don't know if it was licensing issue with the people that owned the character, but this one did kind of take a little bit to come out on DVD. So, but still quite enjoy both of these movies as a kid and now. So, and then we have a couple Ernest DVDs. I do have more, which we'll get to later because I haven't watched them yet, but these are the ones that are on the shelf as of now. Ernest Saves Christmas. You cannot go wrong, at least in my opinion. Good old Ernest Saves Christmas. And one, I do have the Ernest Scared Stupid we already covered, but I do have Ernest Goes to Camp and Goes to Jail, because those came out on Blu-ray for whatever reason. Same studio as Disney, but they didn't put this one out. I don't know why. Oh well. And then I do have the Hey Vern its Ernest TV series, which this was after, I want to say, because Ernest Goes to Camp was the first movie. I want to say this was after that, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was the first movie. It was this. This was only on for one season, and then they continued to do it as movies. So I think that was the situation, because this was, yeah, Ernest Goes to Camp was first. I think this was second. This was 88. Again, I think this was the same time. And then this was only one season. I don't know if it did well or they just said, fuck it, let's make movies. And then they just continue to do them as movies. But this is pretty fun. I do quite like this show. I actually remember watching reruns of this as a kid. They were on at one point. So there's that. Next up, we got I think this was made for Showtime, if I'm not mistaken. But we've got Rocky Marciano with Jon Favreau, which is actually a pretty good movie, pretty good drama. George C. Scott is also in it. He plays his dad. Reno Romano, yes, the voice of Spider-Man from the Spider-Man Unlimited series and the 2 Spider-Man PlayStation 1 games. You know, he's in there. Penelope Ann Miller's in it, Judd Hirsch, bunch of good actors in here, but good little movie. Again, probably never coming out on Blu-ray, but good film. And then we've got one of my favorite cartoons, honestly, from my childhood, Phantom 2040, which, again, I know this is a burned copy, but, you know, it is on the shelf, so we'll just deal with it for now. But first up, this is the movie. It's the first bunch of episodes edited together to make a movie, which this came out. So when the show came on, they did put out some VHS tapes, and then when the movie came out, the Billy Zane film, they went back and they edited a bunch of the episodes together, some of them which had already come out on VHS actually, into a movie, and then they released this on VHS, actually Laserdisc as well, because I have that, and then later it got a DVD, which is what you see here. And that's the only thing that came out in America DVD-wise. And then in Australia, where the Phantom is huge apparently, the Phantom is probably bigger than Batman and Superman, I believe, they actually released the first season on DVD there, but I assume that this did not do that well because they never put out season 2. But yeah, I did get this because I wanted it, and I'm all about, you know, the physical media, as you all very well know, which is why we're on part 30 of this series of videos. And then season 2 never came out here nor there, so I just made my own set here. But these are old transfers, like these are VHS quality transfers. The entire series is actually available here on YouTube, absolutely free, and I think it's on some of the other streaming services out there. So I'll have to see if I can pull those off of here and make a new set, upgrade them, because they're actually, the quality here on YouTube, I did check them out, the quality here on YouTube is actually not that bad. So there you go. And then we got a couple G.I. Joe animated DVDs. I got way more over there. I just haven't watched them yet. But first up, we have G.I. Joe Spy Troops, which I actually watched this when it premiered on Cartoon Network back in the day, which is pretty cool. I think this was 2003. So they were doing a toy line at the time, and they'd made a bunch of these like little CG movies and stuff, and they put them out on DVD. But like I said, they did air this on Cartoon Network, and like I said, I do remember watching it way back in 2003 when it premiered. So very cool. And then the other one that I have here is G.I. Joe Resolute, which they did a little bit later on. I think this was a pilot, if I'm not mistaken. They were trying to do kind of a darker, edgier, like, you know, G.I. Joe for adults, kind of, and I don't think it did that well, which is why it didn't really go anywhere. But I thought this was pretty cool. So yeah, right now these are both stuck on DVD. I doubt Hasbro's going to put them out on Blu-ray, but it is what it is, as the kids say. So there you go. And then next up, we got Summer Catch. Actually, quite enjoyed this. It did not do that well when it came out. It was a huge flop. And this was kind of, I think, the beginning of the end of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s run. Because, you know, he did, like, She's All That was a big hit. I Know What You Did Last Summer was a big hit. A couple of those other movies that he did. But Wing Commander was a huge flop, which is not a good movie. This one was a flop. Scooby-Doo, he bounced back, and then that was kind of it. But I actually really enjoyed this film. This is the original DVD release. Warner Archive actually re-released this, but it was only on DVD. They did not put it out on Blu-ray for whatever reason. But, of course, once more, we don't know what's going on with Warner Brothers, so it's up in the air right now. But I really like that film. Really good cast in it, too. Got Airplane, the Don't Call Me Shirley edition. Definitely need to get this one and the sequel on Blu-ray because I love both of these. I still think after 45 years, this movie is still one of the funniest movies ever made. I still laugh my fucking ass off every time I watch it. So I cannot complain at all. One of my favorite jokes in the movie, which still gets me again, is when they're showing like the seatbelt warnings and it says put on a seatbelt, because I just think it's in Italian and it's just fucking hilarious. So, you know, great stuff there. And then the guy that unplugs everything, he's hilarious. I forget the actor's name at the moment, but he's hilarious. Lloyd Bridges, his line about, you know, I picked a hell of a week to stop drinking, smoking, and doing drugs. And I say that all the time, and people look at me like I'm fucking crazy, but they have no clue what it's from. So there you go. And then the last one, again, this is all the front shelf, the front row of the shelf. The last one from the front, we have That Thing You Do, Tom Hanks's extended cut. Because again, for whatever reason, the only extra feature that did not make it from the DVD to the Blu-ray is the commentary track. And I know what people are thinking, why don't you just extract the audio? I'm like, well, I could do that, but then I would have to take that audio, put it on a thumb drive or a flash drive or something, and then when I want to watch it, I got to go find it and all that. And I don't want to fucking do all that. If I'm listening to an audio commentary track, I want it to be where I need it to be, which is with the movie. I don't want to have to go find a hard drive or a thumb drive or whatever to see if it's on there or not. You know, that's why I just keep the DVDs, or even in the case of a Blu-ray, if from one Blu-ray release to the next, if they don't have the commentary, you know, I still keep it because that's the entire point. So I know people are like, why don't you just rip the audio? Well, why don't you just shut the fuck up and mind your business? So there you go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get into the back row. The back row, I keep wanting to say shelf. No, row, shelf, row, shelf, row. The back row of the second shelf. So we're just going to go ahead and roll into that. So first up, we have the 4-movie Midnight Marathon pack. This is all the Psycho sequels and then the Bates Motel TV movie, which honestly was not a fan of. Psycho 2 is actually my favorite Psycho movie. Psycho 3 I enjoy. Psycho 4, the beginning, is alright. I don't mind that one. And then again, the Bates Motel, which was a pilot for a TV series that never happened. But I bought I think I found this for like $5 at an FYE or something. But I bought these because I hadn't seen them and they were cheap. But of course, they're all, the sequels are all on Blu-ray. I think there's a Psycho box set out there that might have Bates Motel in it, but I need to upgrade those to Blu-ray. And then I have the original on Blu-ray. I need to upgrade the sequels at least, because like I said, Psycho 2 is my favorite. Psycho 2 is awesome. Not that I don't like the original, but that's the one that everybody talks about, and I'm like, it's a good movie, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, Psycho 2 I kind of like more. Psycho 3 I thought was good, and that Anthony Perkins was able to direct Psycho 3 because he never got paid royalties from Psycho 1 and 2. So he actually sued Universal and he won, and part of the settlement was he got to direct Psycho 3. So that's actually pretty cool. So there you go. Mother! All right, and then we've got, talked about this movie before, I think in some previous segments, but we got Phoenix. Pretty good, kind of a thriller, cop thriller, cop drama with Ray Liotta. Also, Anthony LaPaglia, one of my favorite actors, is in it. Angelica Houston, Tom Noonan's in it. Jeremy Piven, who I've always liked. Daniel Baldwin, Giancarlo Esposito. Bunch of good actors in here. Kari Wurr, who, she's hot, don't get me wrong, but she's a pain in the ass from what I hear. So there's that. But pretty good little, I think it went straight to video, but I quite like it. Danny Cannon directed that, who did Judge Dredd. And it's funny because he vowed never to work with big name actors after Judge Dredd. Well, Ray Liotta was a pretty big name, I'm just saying. I miss Ray Liotta. I always loved him as an actor. It was very sad when he passed away. And next up, we've got Freaked, which I know this just got a 4K from Viavision. Umbrella, I'm sorry. I always get Umbrella and Viavision mixed up because they're two different companies. But Umbrella put this out. My bad. I would like to get that. I actually really like this film. I know people don't, but I do. And this is the Anchor Bay DVD. This was expensive for quite a while. I think I might have got this, I want to say I got it locally. I may have found it locally or found it on eBay, but I actually got it for like $20. I found it pretty cheap. But yeah, it's so goofy and zany. It's out there. It's definitely out there, but that's why I like it, because it's something different. But it did nothing at the box office, but I quite enjoy it. But yeah, I definitely want to get that that Blu-ray from Umbrella. I don't know if it has all the features from that DVD or not. I'd have to look into that, but that was cool. And then the series, the Idiot Box, which I think was the kind of precursor to that. I think that they also put out as well, or Vinegar Syndrome put that. Somebody put that out too, so I'll have to look into that as well. But moving on, we've got Shark Attack 3 Megalodon. I don't have the other Shark Attack movies, but this one's fun. This is the one where John Barrowman from Doctor Who says he wants to take the lead girl home and eat her pussy because it was improvised. And then Ryan Kutrana yells, bull fucking shit and all this other crazy lines. And it's just B shark movie fun. I will say that. I don't care. Yes, I know it's goofy. Yes, I know it's stupid, but that's why it's fun. So there you go. But I remember Shark Attack 2, and these were made for the Sci-Fi Channel. New Image actually did these. Shark Attack 2 wasn't that bad. I never saw the first one. The first one had Ernie Hudson and Casper Van Dien in it. I don't think I ever saw that one. But Shark Attack 2 wasn't too bad. Shark Attack 3 is just dumb fun. Again, in my opinion, the only two really good shark... Well, okay. The only three good shark movies, Jaws 1 and 2, and Deep Blue Sea. After that, they're all just knockoff of Jaws, but sometimes they can be fun. So there you go. Alright, next up we have The Ben Stiller Show, which I absolutely love this. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. I would love if this were to come out on Blu-ray, but once again, it's Warner Brothers, so we don't know. But this show was so ahead of its time. It truly was. It's got some great stuff in here. The Die Hard, which episode was it? Episode 8 with Flea. Die Hard 12, Die Hungry is fucking hilarious to this day. And there's a bunch of stuff on here that is still absolutely hilarious, at least in my opinion. But I remember, I think FX and Comedy Central showed reruns of this back in the day. I think I would catch a little bit here and there. And then I remember a friend of mine sent me the Die Hard 12 skit, and I was like, what is this? He's like, the Ben Stiller Show. I'm like, what are you talking about, the Ben Stiller Show? And he's like, yeah, Ben Stiller had a sketch comedy show in the 90s. I'm like, okay, I'll have to go check that out then. So it's hilarious. We got The Big Green, which is the Disney soccer film, because, you know, in the 90s, Disney had the damn stranglehold on the kids' sports movies. But I still really like this film. There is a Blu-ray. I would definitely want to pick it up, but good stuff nonetheless. Then we have The Usual Suspects. Great movie. Once again, definitely need to pick up the Blu-ray at some point here, but great film. Probably, I don't know, X-Men 2 or this, but Bryan Singer's an asshole. He's a fucking creepazoid. But again, you have to separate the art from the artist. I shouldn't say it. Sometimes. With it, fucking Victor Salva and Clown House and Jeepers Creepers, no. So there's that. But Nature of the Beast, Powder, no. Nature of the Beast, yeah, because Nature of the Beast doesn't involve children. So there you go. Anyway, Major League 2, which is actually my favorite of the Major League movies because it was shot in Baltimore. The reason why is at the time, I think Jacobs Field was getting remodeled in Cleveland, so they couldn't shoot there. So they actually came to Baltimore because Camden Yards had just opened, because this came out in 94, because Camden Yards was 92. I think it was the year that I was born. And it was, it was the new ballpark, and it looked like Jacobs Field, which I don't really think it does. So they actually shot in Baltimore. So here, I know this is green screened and stuff, but they actually recreated Camden Yards pretty well with the background here. And I think a good chunk of it was shot in the surrounding areas and stuff. Like when Charlie Sheen and Michelle Burke, the very lovely Michelle Burke, I've always had a crush on her. Always thought she was very pretty. When they're riding around on the motorcycle, I think all that's downtown Baltimore. The spring training scenes were shot where the Harrisburg Senators play in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is not too far from here, but they added palm trees in the background. So most of this movie was actually shot in this general surrounding area, which is pretty cool. I think some of the interiors was probably LA and stuff like that. But so I always did have a soft spot for this movie. One of my uncles was going to go and be an extra in this, but I think something happened and he ended up not going. But yeah, this was actually always my favorite of the Major League movies. And also because the soundtrack is Stevie Ray Vaughan and his brother, so can't go wrong with that either. But good stuff here. There is a Blu-ray. I think it's a burn on demand though. Hopefully somebody will pick it up and give it a proper Blu-ray, maybe with some extras. But I actually like all three of the Major League movies. I need to get back to the minors as well. And then we have Kiss of Death with David Caruso, which this is when a lot of people probably don't remember this or were not alive, but David Caruso infamously quit NYPD Blue back in the day to go be a film star, and none of his movies did well, and I think he got blacklisted for a while, but then he came back with CIS, I think it was the CSI, ABC, K, whatever, CSI, my bad, CSI, he was on CSI Miami, he was on that one. But yeah, this is when he tried to become a film star and it didn't really work. But I actually like this movie. I think this is a pretty solid crime film. I think there's some bootleg Blu-rays that are floating around out there, because once again, it is a Fox title, so Disney. So it ain't happening. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a couple more, because I know we're close to the hour mark. I'll knock a few more out, and then we'll come back. We'll wrap up this shelf, the second shelf, and then we'll start jumping into the third shelf. So let's get it going. Yeah, we'll do 3, 4, 5. Actually, let's just do... Yeah, we'll do these. I'll work a little quick here, and then we'll pick up. Next up, we've got Unbreakable, which is the only M. Night Shyamalama Ding Dong movie I like. So I'll have to get this on Blu-ray at some point. But I actually saw this when it first came out on VHS back in the day. But this is the old Vista series, which Disney was doing for their like Touchstone and those the other offshoot branches of Disney. which again, Hollywood Pictures, Touchstone, those ended up under Disney. They always were Disney. They were just their offshoots to do, R-rated movies and stuff like that. Excuse me. Then we have The Forsaken, which is a vampire film that I don't mind. I know most people don't like this movie or don't care about this movie, but I actually don't mind it for what it is. It's currently stuck on DVD. There's some bootlegs out there that you can find on Blu-ray, but this has a commentary with the director and a couple minor extra features. But yeah, I don't mind this movie. There's all these people online like it's gay and it's about being gay. I'm like, not everything has to be gay, you fucking retard. Shut up. So there's that. Next up, this was sent to me. I don't remember who sent it to me. I apologize. But this only came out in Australia, even though it's a BBC production. But it's The Hound of the Baskervilles, with none other than the Fourth Doctor himself, Tom Baker, as Sherlock Holmes. And again, for whatever reason, I don't know why, this only came out in Australia despite being a BBC, that's the British Broadcasting Corporation's, you sick fucks, program. And there is a commentary on all the episodes with Tom Baker. So there you go. Again, I don't know why it only came out there when it aired in England. So there's that, but I do have this. It's actually quite interesting, I will say, and it's cool to see the Doctor, as far as I'm concerned, Tom Baker, playing Sherlock Holmes. Next up, one of my all-time favorite football films and one of my all-time favorite sports movies in general, sports kids movies, whatever. Little Giants, absolute classic. I wish that it was on Blu-ray, but unfortunately, probably not going to happen anytime soon because it is Warner Brothers. But this is a movie that I would watch all the time as a kid because I had it on a recorded VHS tape, and it was another one that was always on TV. And I actually played football, Pee Wee football around this time. I only played Pee Wee football for a couple years. It just wasn't for me. But what's funny about this DVD is there's an introduction from Shauna Waldron, who played the Icebox. When I met her, we had talked about, I'm like, yeah, why is there no Blu-ray or 4K? She's like, I don't know, like it should be. And I was like, well, you were on the DVD, you did the intro. She's like, yeah, I hated that because I looked all fat. I'm like, you're not fat, because she's still very attractive. She was cute in the movie, and she's still a very attractive woman, so I will say that. And she has a nice butt, so there you go. Anyway, but yeah, classic movie as far as I'm concerned. She had nothing but wonderful things to say about Ed O'Neill and Rick Moranis. Same with Devon Sawa when I met him. He had just nothing but wonderful things to say about both of them. So there you go. And next up, I know actually, hold on. I'm sorry. Snapper case. There we go. My bad. Is this in full screen? No, it's not. Thank God it's in widescreen. But yeah, this needs a Blu-ray. Come on. What are you doing, Warner Brothers? This one probably will not get a Blu-ray ever because I think maybe WWE might own part of this. I'm not sure, but Ready to Rumble, I don't care. I know it's goofy, stupid fun, but that's why I like it. So there you go. Again, it's my kind of goofy, stupid fun. So there you have it. But yeah, I think now Warner Brothers technically would own the movie, but I think because now WWE owns all the WCW stuff, they might have a say in this. So again, I don't know for sure. Maybe not. But I remember when this came out, I liked it then. I still like it now. Like I said, it's goofy, stupid fun, but it's my kind of goofy, stupid fun, and it's wrestling. So there you go. And I love wrestling. So there's that. Next up, we have Dead Man on Campus, which I believe, if I am not mistaken, this was the first live action film. No. I'm sorry. My bad. Joe's Apartment was. But this is one of the early MTV films, my bad, that they produced. Yeah, Joe's Apartment, which I have over there, which I haven't watched yet. That was the first live action MTV produced film, and then Beavis and Butthead was the first animated. But I really like this comedy. I don't think it did that well when it came out. They marketed the shit out of this movie. They're like MTV, since it was their movie, they really pushed it on the network and everything. And I don't think it really did anything. There might be a Blu-ray of this, maybe. I'm not entirely sure. I'm like 50-50 sure. I want to say that there is, though. But if there is, I would like to pick it up, because I actually really like this movie. I think it's pretty funny. With Zach Morris himself, Michael Paul Gosselaar, and Tom Everett Scott from That Thing You Do. Also of American Werewolf in Paris, which is an awful movie. Then we got a couple Tony Hawk DVDs here. First up, we've got Trick Tips Volume 1, which is just some basic skateboarding things, but I love Tony Hawk, so that's why I got it. And then we have Tony Hawk's Gigantic Skate Park Tour Summer 2000, which I watched this when they aired it on ESPN back in the day. So there you go. Gotta love it. And yeah, Tony Hawk is in here. Andrew Reynolds, Jason Ellis, Willie Santos, Bam is in here. Bucky Lasik, who's from Baltimore. Matt Hoffman, Andy McDonald. It's weird because it says Midwest. Last time I checked, Pennsylvania and Virginia are not in the Midwest, but what do I know, right? So there you go. And Florida, yeah, East Coast, but, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, I didn't make this DVD. And then this is the second one. No. This is one of the later ones. This is the Secret Skate Park Tour. So I think it was the big gigantic skate park tour. I think that was the first 2 or 3 years, and then it was the Secret Skate Park Tour. I think I have a couple of the other ones over there. I have to look. But you also got Bob Burnquist, Alex Chalmers, Bam Margera, Rodney Mullen, Ryan Sheckler. Ryan Sheckler was a baby in this. Shaun White, who was also a baby at the time, and Mike Vallely, not Vallely, it's Vallely. They did that on Viva La Band. He's like, you can't even say my name right. It's not Vallely, it's Vallely. And then we will call it apart here with two of these slim DVDs here, from Platinum Disc. I almost said Anchor Bay, Jesus. From Platinum Disc, who would later become, once again, Echo Bridge. First up, we have Just One of the Girls, which is not a sequel to Just One of the Guys, but it's the reverse of it, where Corey Haim wants to dress up as a girl to get with Nicole Eggert. Well, Nicole Eggert was hot as shit back in the day, so there's that. And actually, Saban made this movie. The people that did Power Rangers, because they did the music and everything, too. But yeah, I didn't know that, so I bought this DVD. This was, I guess because it was Corey Haim, this actually went for a little bit of money at one point. I don't know why, because, it's alright. It's not Licensed to Drive or The Lost Boys, but, it's okay. But it's just kind of funny how certain movies would be expensive and certain movies wouldn't. But oh well. And then we have American Shaolin, King of the Kickboxers 2, which there is a Blu-ray overseas for this. I just don't have it, but not a bad film. This was actually, a lot of it was shot in New Jersey, because Michael D. Pasquale, may he rest in peace, was in it. I want to say Cliff Lenderman's in it, who was another great martial artist. He's retired. I want to say, I remember my instructor always talking about this movie, so I don't know if he had something to do with this, or he might have been in it or not, but I remember he always brought this movie up, so there you go. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up for now. This will be part 30, and we will get through a little bit left of the second shelf, and then I'll try to jump into the third shelf in part 31, and we shall keep it rocking and rolling. So again, thank you all as usual for watching. Take care, and we'll talk to you real soon. Later.